Hello and welcome back to the Client Code podcast. My name is Carol Kabale, and today, as always, it's such a treat to have you here. Today, we are talking about all things burnout. I know you've heard this word. I don't even need to tell you about it because you're probably stressed just hearing this word. I'm stressed hearing this word. So, if you have ever felt like you have burnout, if you've ever felt like someone you know has burnout, if you are a leader who doesn't even know they have burnout but probably has it, then I encourage you to stick around and listen to this episode because it's probably for you. Hello, Dr. Melanie Gray, and welcome to the Client Code podcast.
Well, hello, Carol. It's such a pleasure to be here, my friend.
I am so
Thank
excited
you.
to have you here. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Like, I know we spoke, but already the vibes are up. I'm feeling energized, and I know that today is going to be like one of those magical episodes.
It's a magical day because we're together, Carol.
You know what? Can you just come to my house? Can you just live here and like be my support person, please?
I can be there, girl. Let me get on the plane right now. Let me get to O'Hare.
Please. You can be here in a couple of hours. When I wake up, I'll just find you at my doorstep. That's what I
It'll
need.
be tomorrow. Yes. Yeah. On the weekend. I'll be there.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so Melanie, we have a tradition on the show where we ask everyone this question, which is what is your unique client code? But we're going to change it a little bit. And I want to ask you, what is your unique client code when it comes to visibility?
My unique client code is relationships. And it's the relationships that I've actually built through podcasting. Carol, I was trying to go viral and get connections, with the reels and those kind of things. And I was going nowhere. I was flatter than a pancake. And really, you couldn't blow no air in that. And I even thought about hiring someone to help me. And then I said, why would I pay someone to help me excel at something that I can't lift myself? And so I tried podcasting. And it's made all the difference because I built relationships. It's how we met. I met you. It's how I'm building connection. I have people in my contact list that didn't exist before I made this step. And so that's my lift. It's the relationships. Even before podcast, Carol, I was a relational person.
Yeah.
Connecting people. And so that's my thing.
I love that. Something that I think people listening need to take away is that if something isn't working, there is no point in amplifying it. If you're not naturally good at it, if you're not naturally the person who goes viral, if you're not good at being the person who sings on TikTok or dances or does reels or all these things, why put your energy in that? We are all here to be of service. We have all here been given all these gifts and magical things to help people. Why would you waste your time doing something that's not going to help anybody? Please.
You know why? I asked myself that question. I don't have a PhD for nothing, right? So I had to go back and look at the data.
You see that.
My data says this is not working for me. So, and my audience isn't really going to be on some of those platforms. So when I pivoted, it began to make the difference in everything.
I love that. And that is such a simple thing. So that is so good. Now, when you're having these relationships with people, okay, let's start that question again. In terms of relationship building, which is great, that's all visibility. But I know the people listening today, I promised them burnout. So we got to talk about it. That's all we got to do.
We got to talk.
So in terms of burnout, let's start right at the beginning. What is it really?
It's both physical. It's a feeling that people get both physically and emotionally that doesn't lift them. So physically, they begin to have signs of stress. It could be their skin breaking out, muscle tension, neck tension, body aches, weight gain. It can be the inability to sleep, your mood, the psychological changes, where you are snappy and short, you feel unmotivated. And it's really because when you stay in a constant state of stress, just you never get a chance to come down, your parasympathetic system doesn't ever get a chance to help It's your system of rest. It never gets to activate. So you stay on fire. That's why it's burnout. It's not
Oh
just
my
that you feel you
goodness.
can't go any further, but your body is pretty much on fire. And it's a constant state of your cortisol levels, your hormone levels, your muscles are tight, and you never come down. It's both physical, it has symptoms physiologically in your physical body, it has emotional systems, signs and symptoms as well. And what I want people to know is it's a choice. See, you don't have to, it does not have to happen. You don't have to let yourself run and burn out. That is to a degree a choice. If you are running your business, you can choose to run your business differently.
Yes.
Because everything needs your body needs rest, your brain needs rest. And you don't
Yes.
find any joy in your business when you wore out and feel torn up.
Exactly. Exactly. And are some of those early signs that a leader or an entrepreneur listening to this could have been experiencing so that they can self-identify?
They might find that their stomach hurts, they feel constipated, they're bloated all the time, they have muscle tension in their neck and their shoulders. They just don't feel they feel exhausted. Like, they don't really have the oomph, the motivation for their business that they used to. They might find themselves making mistakes because when you're really
Okay.
tired, you make mistakes. You might find yourself being short with people. Not keeping up with your calendar, having trouble keeping timelines, and you find yourself saying, I'm just not myself anymore. What's
Mm.
happening? I'm not myself. You begin to look in the mirror and you see that you've changed.
I'm not going to lie to you. What you've described, I've definitely been through it. You were saying some stuff, and I was like picturing a particular period in my life, and I was like, that's exactly what I had. Because you were saying the symptoms, and Carol was like, yes, yes, yes. Bonus point for that one, too. I was like, what is going on here? Okay. So now let's say someone is nodding along and maybe they have it or maybe they've experienced it in the past. What would be one way, quick, practical way that someone could calm their nervous system from all this overwhelm? What is a practical way that they could do that?
So, Carol, there are times when we need to calm our nervous system in the moment so that we
Mm-hmm.
don't say something wrong, we don't have hurt someone or have the wrong interaction. But there are also times when we need to really calm our system over days for the long run so that we can recalibrate. So in the moment, pause, breathe, inhale, and exhale. Unclench your fists, stand up. Even at your desk, you can stand up. Take a short music break and ask yourself what is needed in the moment. If you can, walk away from your desk or your workspace and stretch and ask yourself what's needed in this moment. Do I need to respond right now or can
Yes.
this wait? If you're working with other people, say, just take a break and say, let me give me a minute and I'm going to get right back to you. And then engage them. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we put all the ownership when we
Yes.
have a team, we put all the ownership on ourselves when if you've hired smart people, use them, right? Smart people are smart. Use them. Ask them what they think. And that's so in the moment, it's important to recalibrate, to understand, to know what's happening in your body. Say, okay, I need to pause. I need to breathe. I need to step away and give yourself that moment because you don't have to live in urgency. What's important is to determine, is this really urgent? And that will take a minute. Unless it's a fire, building falling down, then you
Then
need to
you got to
run,
run.
right?
Then you
Then
got
you
to
got to
run.
run. But everything's not I gotta run moment. And it's important to pause. In the long run, in long run thinking, it's important to put yourself on your calendar and give yourself a 3-day weekend once a month. It's important that you give yourself time for lunch, that you go to bed at night. Even iron wears out. Now, I know there are times when we're pressed on a deadline and we have to, put in those longer hours, but then you need to give yourself an extra day of sleep. So you need to
Yeah.
rearrange your schedule going forward so that you can, get your rest and do things you enjoy. Yes, we work to live. I believe even as entrepreneurs, my belief is we work to live, we don't live to work. And when we aren't
Yeah.
fulfilling all the parts of ourselves, time with our family, riding a bike, going on a picnic, whatever it is you like. When we don't fulfill all those things, we're not the best entrepreneurs because we're not whole.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we have come to this culture of hustle and being overproductive. And it has been so glamorized to be busy. And if you
Yeah.
aren't busy, you must be lazy. So all of us want to fit in 45,000 things in a 24-hour day. And you're like, make it make
And no
sense.
one's good at everything, and no one's good at everything all the time. But if you're tired, exhausted, hurting, and burned out, you're not going to be good at any of it. Now, I know that we're smart and we can sometimes learn to work on fumes and go on autopilot, but is that really your best? Is that really what you want to show up? How you want to show up? Is that going to bring value to you? Because, like we want to bring value to our customers, our friends, we need to provide some value for ourselves so that we live whole and live well also.
I
And you know what?
agree.
Everyone who's busy is everyone who's busy and tired is not productive. They just might look like they're busy, but they might not be productive. They might not be making any money. It doesn't mean that their busyness is financially rewarding. It's just a
Mm.
look. And you have to decide as an entrepreneur what is best for you. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to look like anyone else. And burnout is a choice. You don't have to be burned out.
No, you don't. I actually think a lot of the time, I am just talking about myself now. I am most creative and I'm most like I'm at my best when I've had time for rest. When I push and push and push, I've actually had to learn, as you said, it's a choice because then I show up for clients and I'm not giving them my best. And that already is like, for me personally, I'm like, whoa, Carol, this person is trusting you to help them with their business, with this and that. And you're out here showing up like not engaged, not tired, like not fully rested. You're not giving your best because you haven't set the boundary to say, hey, this is what needs to do. We need to block this out. What would you say is, for example, blocking time for yourself is a boundary that I've had to learn. What would you say is another boundary that comes up a lot that people just tend to avoid? They're like, nope, not going to do it.
Well, they don't want to say no. And I know that this term is overused and overstated, but no is a full sentence. And you have to mean it. And you have to understand, even in business, people don't like it when they hear no, but they'll say no to you, but they don't like it when you say no. But it's a full sentence. The people in your family, they have to understand that you're a whole person too. You have to be willing to accept the fact that everyone doesn't like your choice. People pleasing is not going to benefit you and help you. Is not healthy to be a people pleaser. It's healthier to be in honest relationships with people that value and support you as a person. And it's sometimes our family, it's sometimes just your friends, that some people can go with you for a season. Some are in your
Mm-hmm.
life for a reason, but everyone doesn't necessarily go for the long haul. And you
That's
have to
so
be okay
true.
with that, with pivoting and building new relationships that feel you.
Yeah, I mean, also you cannot pour from an empty cup. I
No,
mean,
man.
you're gonna keep pouring and pouring, and at some point it's dry. Who pours into you? So
You
find, for
gotta
me,
pull
it's like
yourself.
find that thing that pours back into you, whether that's your faith, whether that's your family, whether that's just walking your dog. It doesn't matter, but
Mhm.
you cannot be of service from a leadership role, from your business, from being a family member, anything, if you have nothing to give. Like
If you
smokes and mirrors is a
no,
real thing.
it is. And you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to have time to feed yourself, to learn, to keep up with new innovations, but all your reading doesn't have to be work related either. It could be just you like a mystery. You might want to just sit back and read a mystery.
Yeah.
If you or loves whatever you like, Daniel Steele or something. That was who I used to love back in the day.
Oh, that would be
But
nice. Like a nice little rosy. For me, I'm a romance girly. I love to read romance books. So give me like two people who I know at the end of the day are going to end up together. I'm all set. I'm so happy. I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
I like the mysteries. I like love stories and mysteries, and I do like personal improvement. But the point is, whether it's an audiobook, a book, you need to have time to feed yourself and to grow, because we're living longer, and you want to live well, and you want to
yes.
frame how you want to look in the future. And you have to remember that everything that you are doing is teaching somebody something about how to treat you. If you don't like how you're treated, what are you teaching people? If you're teaching people, if you're answering email and text messages all night long, then you're teaching people, yeah, text me and email me all night long and I'll answer. If you're
Exactly.
teaching
And then you
people,
get surprised when you put that boundary and you say, hey, please don't email me during the weekend, but you're the one replying.
yeah. And then when they don't, they get mad because you always been doing it. What's wrong with you now? So don't do it. You teach
Don't do
people
it.
all the time. You're teaching your children. You're teaching your family. And is that the legacy that you want to leave when you're not? What is the legacy? I think your legacy thinking about your legacy is important. And you also have to pace yourself, Carol, because though you might be 20, 30, maybe even 40 now, you won't always be. So
Yes.
how are you going to go the distance at 50 or 60, or if you want to go longer than that? You have to think about life is a long distance run, it's not a sprint.
I agree. And I think with every year, you learn a little more, you gain a little more. And I think, look, as you mentioned, even like the older we get, as technology and things advance, like the older you are, old isn't old, is what I'm trying to say anymore. Like, I remember when I was growing up, like a grandma was a grandma. A grandma now is not a grandma. She can be whatever she want to be and then some.
Carol, some would say I'm a grandma, but I don't sound like it. I don't feel like
Don't
it.
look like
and I'm
it.
going on, girl.
You see? And this is all because you've been intentional with how you want to live your life, how you want to show up, not only in your work, but also in other places in your life. And I think that's really a testament of where you are right now.
Yeah, I always knew I would be at this point in my life, and I'm 60 something, I'll say it. And I was always intentional about making sure that I had, even now, that I'm building relationships with people that are 20, 30, and 40 years younger than me. That's how I've been able to really launch my business in the last year, because I've been able to lean on the relationships of people who were younger that had some skills and insights that I didn't have. They're like, oh, Miss Gray, don't do that.
Just do it this way. It's fine.
Yeah, just do that. Hey, Miss Gray, just use this. Let me connect you to one of my friends. I'm like, okay.
Stress. You see?
You're the boss now. I used to be the boss of you, but now you can be the boss of me.
I love that. Okay, so last kind of question we have around here, it's a little bit of a mantra. It goes like this: what you don't change, you choose. So I would love to ask you, Dr. Gray, what are you choosing today?
I am choosing in my business to be more intentional about writing, to enhance the impact that I'd like to make. I'm choosing to write more. My gift is really in writing and in speaking. And so I'm going to lean into those gifts more than I had last year.
Oh, I like that. And I am very excited to see where that goes. I'm going to be cheerleading you on from the sidelines. And I cannot wait to see what this writing brings for you. Okay. Where can I send the people? How can they work with you? Where are they going next?
They're going to go to Dr. Melanie Gray, theconfidencecoach.com. And when they go on that site, they're going to see a free course called Unburnt, so they can get unburnt from that burnout.
Guys, it's free. I mean, what are you waiting for?
Free.
Like, you can stop listening right now. I'm not going to be offended. Go and get that course, Unburnt. What a great title. I mean, have you ever heard that? So if you're feeling burnt out, tired, if you need a shift, go get Dr. Melanie's course. It's free. Unburnt. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being my guest. And thank you for sharing with us everything about burnout. I'm sure we could have gone on and on forever because you're just so amazing.
Girl, it wasn't everything, but hopefully it made them think.
I hope so. This is step number 1. Step number 2 is go do that course, Unburnt. Let's go do that. Okay. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. This was another episode of the Client Code podcast. My name is Carol Kabale, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.